we go to, in year 5 we go to Swanage. We've probably been going for the last 12 years or so, maybe a little bit longer, but only in the most recent years have we been going with this organisation called Land and Wave, which is based down in the area. They are incredibly experienced school leaders, and they have some really fantastic people that work for them. And it's a fantastic trip for us to do in year 5 because it links with our humanities, our geography, a little bit of history, as well as personal development, getting ready for year 6. Is there anything else that you want to say? You were my first experience for you last year. Is there anything else that you want to say about the trip in general before we go into some of the details?
It's a really good range of activities. So we've got the historical side of things. Really, the castle is amazing. The campsite overlooks that. We see it in the distance, so it's a premonition of what's to come. Getting the train down there actually made me want to do a family holiday there myself when I had the trip. So.
Minus 48 children.
Yeah, it's a really lovely. That slight change, but it's a really lovely trip.
It's an incredibly beautiful. It is an incredibly beautiful part of the country, and I mean that's obviously one of the reasons why we go. But I think, as Mr. Smith said, it's this space that we've got gives you a vista. Well, gives the girls a vista of the final trip that we do to Corfe Castle, as well as seeing the kind of surrounding hills and where we walk, and just being outdoors for 4 days is absolutely phenomenal. Yes, it will rain. Yes, it will be cold at night. But all of those things are really building resilience and inspiring the girls to kind of get out of their comfort zones. Or actually, if it is their comfort zone, to help their friends, to help their peers, to help their buddies enjoy it a little bit. So for those of you who are avid campers, that's absolutely brilliant. It is a really beautiful place. Land and Wave host us. I'm wondering if this is going to work. Land and Wave, which Mrs. Farr will send through a portal for all of their...
It'll probably be the other side of half term.
Other side of half term with all of their bits and pieces, but they're incredibly well versed. This is just a little bit of a video about the stuff that we could do. We haven't finalised exactly the bits and pieces that we are going to be doing in our week, but it gives us a little bit of an idea of the kind of things that they do. Sorry, I don't know why I stopped. So that's kind of an experience of some of the things that that they do offer. Depending on the time of year, we look carefully at the weather forecast and we have a bit of a discussion with them about what's appropriate for us to do with the cohort. And it's definitely not going to be co-steering, so don't worry about that one. Isle of Purbeck, this just gives us a little bit of an idea of where we are located. It's obviously called Isle of Purbeck, but it's not an island, but it's this beautiful location just outside Poole Harbour. We do see the harbour, and they learn a little bit about the coastline and its geographical significance. Because we're studying Victorians, we make these links all the time, and then girls will be doing a project afterwards on what we learn while we're there, but also what we've learned in the classroom as well. And that's a significant part of our Year 5 studies. So while they're there, as well as us having fun, we are also making these links to the Victorian times and evolution in general from the stuff that we've been looking at in this term as well. So any background studies that you can do, any museums or any books that you can read with your girls, it's really, really important to do this independent little bit of research because it's a fascinating area. The long walk that we do takes in, we start at Swanage and the long walk that we do takes this route which is really historically significant, and it's become a bit of a tradition in Year 5, and everybody likes to talk about this long walk that we do. Mr. Smith, do you want to talk a little bit about the location?
I can talk about the location from the walk perspective. We're surrounded by countryside. So the surrounding area is all sort of open fields, beautiful sort of trees and views. Yeah. There's a part of it where we go into the woods. I think on the first day we do our archery and do some bushcraft stuff, lighting fires and things like that, which is really fun. And then obviously down into the village of Swanage, which is a beautiful village, very old and cobbly and very historically significant. Get a lot of stories about piracy and trade and all kinds of things like that. The walk along is just brilliant. So we go up beyond Swanage, out over the chalk sort of cliffs and up the hill, and you get these absolutely amazing views which I didn't even know existed in the UK.
It is incredible, all that point down to the end.
Over the beaches. And you get a lot of historical information, but also geographical information about the landscape in the area, how the wetlands work and who owns the lands and how it's protected from people sort of building on it to make sure we preserve some of that area, and it has been kept beautiful. So that's
And actually, last year we noticed how much of the land is also degrading and eroding because a lot of it, even though we try to protect it as much as possible from the influences of the wind and the rain and the waves, some of the pathways have had to be changed over time. Our campsite looks a little bit like this from the air, and you'll see that there are kind of designated areas. There will be other schools that stay with us, but to be honest, it's a massive site, and apart from maybe sometimes in the mornings or in the evenings, there's not very much crossover at all. There's nobody allowed on the site apart from land and wave people in schools. There's no cars or anything. This area here is for some of the leaders that they stay on site, and these roads are all farm roads. There's no vehicles apart from the minibuses. The last couple of years, and with Mrs. Farr, we've been down in this area down here, which is actually really nice because it's lovely and quiet. The sun comes up in the morning kind of over Ballard Down, so we get sun in the evening, which is really lovely. And we've down in this area here, we've got our own shower and toilet blocks, and then there's other shower and toilet blocks up here. And then this area tends to be the mess. They've got on-site catering, and we have our own tent, which I'll show you in a second, our own tent for breakfasts and dinners. But this whole space is available for girls to play games. We take some stuff down with us, and they've also got some bits and pieces. So any on-site games and activities that take part in this big open space. There's this huge amount of incredible fresh air open space, and I'll show you a picture of the tents in a minute. So these are our timings. The only thing that I would ask on that Tuesday is if there's any regular medication that your girls are taking, that's absolutely fine. It tends to be that we see it on MIS, but there's a form that you'll need to fill in for us. So in the morning, we'll have a table set out, like any of our school trips, a table set out to the front of school for you to hand any kind of medication. Now I'm going to say that anything that happens over the space of that weekend before or the week before, if there's any kind of medication, whether it's cream or a spray or anything that your girls are using or taking, we have got to see it because they cannot have it in their tents. They're too young for them just to say, right, you're using a special cream on the back of your knees. We have got to have it. We keep it in our adult tent, and then we help them with that process, because the only thing we want them to do is have fun, and they cannot stay in a tent and they've got any kind of medication. Sun cream and stuff, that's absolutely fine, but anything like mozzie spray or anything, we keep it, and then they come and use it outside of their tents. It's also just to make sure that the tents aren't smelly or that someone gets lost. We just help them as much as possible with any of those responsibilities. So anything that you are using or your child is taking, please give it to us in a named bag. Same applies for travel sickness pills, like any trip, travel sickness pill before we go, and then the named in a little named bag for a return. It's important that we have those with us, because girls know what they're taking and what they're using, and they feel a little bit squiggly if they haven't got the stuff that they're used to. Right? So it's just about making sure that they're feeling as comfortable as possible. So please just hand in any medication. There'll be one of the leaders will be designated medical lead for the week. And then we aim to leave at about 8 o'clock. The only thing that I would say is when you come and drop your girls off, they come into the hall for us to register and have a little bit of a chat. You can go around the side into the playground. If the bus is here, we'll ask you to help load the tents, but then load the bags, but then nobody is on site, because obviously you've got other girls coming in. You can wait on the pavement if you want to wave goodbye, but nobody is allowed in the school at all, because we need to be able to sort out these little people. They're our priority. Is that right, Mrs. Farr?
Yeah, perfect. Bags can be left on the ramp if in the morning,
Yeah.
which would be fine. Just drop them off there, then the
Exactly.
girls come into school.
Yeah.
It's the easiest
And
way
actually,
for
yeah,
us.
so if you're walking, they don't even need to come into
That's
school.
it. And if the
They can
bus is
come
there, happily put your own bag on the bus.
Straight in. So as far, I'll talk about bags in a minute. And then when we come back on the Friday, we'll message. It's around 4:30, 5 o'clock. It's quite a long day, but we'll message if it changes, just dependent entirely on traffic and when we leave Cork. Mr. Smith, have I forgotten anything?
I think you've covered everything there in terms of coming and going. Yeah.
Cool. Okay. This is just a very typical day. We wake up, it depends on the site. Sometimes our breakfast is at 7, sometimes it's a little bit later. We go in our pyjamas. It's lovely. Even Mr. Smith. And then we have a little bit of a time just to kind of work out what we're doing, what we need in our day packs. I'll show you the kit list in a minute. And then we're out. We're pretty much off site every day for our activities. They will give us a packed lunch, so all this will come through in the parent portal. And then we sometimes do something in the afternoon, but sometimes we're back on site for a little bit, maybe about 4 o'clock. And our evening meal is around 6 o'clock. They're really, really good meals. They're fantastic caterers. There's a whole range of things that are catered for, and there's an opportunity to go back for seconds. We do some kind of an activity in the evening. I always look at this and think bedtime. That's a really nice thing to put on the slide. It doesn't really happen, does it? Well, actually, it does in my book. We march up and down, don't we, Mrs. Smith? We march up and down at about 11 o'clock and say, right, that's it, now we had it up.
It's a lot easier.
Yeah. The first night, there's not very much sleep because they tend to be awake at about 3 o'clock in the morning. Uno! Hey guys, should we play Uno? The second night, however, we are waking them up for breakfast because we have worked them hard the day before. So bedtime is around 9 o'clock. You're in your tents, reading quietly, not playing, reading quietly, getting ready for bed, because it is absolutely vital that you sleep. Because the next day, I will be grumpy if you do not sleep, and you will be miserable. And those two things combined, poor Mr. Smith has to deal with. Okay, so nobody wants a grumpy Miss Rosa, and it's important that you sleep properly because we are busy and active and doing things all day long. So eating regularly and sleeping is really, really important. But they do actually sleep. Beautiful tents. Don't provide us with mats. As you can see, they are very basic. So if you don't go out and buy one, but if you have a camping mat or a gym mat and you can roll it up and bring it along, it has to be rolled up and secured. You can bring one. There were a couple of girls who brought them last year, but you don't need to. The tents are set up. They are. They've got an undersheet. What's that thing called? Ground sheet. Thank you. Ground sheet. And they zip up nicely, and they're all there. All right, which is great. The girls love going and setting up their beds. The first night they tend to set their beds up all around the outside, and the next night they're all sleeping on top of each other because they realise that it's quite cold. But they absolutely love the environment, and you can see there's lots of space around. We're quite strict about them coming out at night and be careful of the guy ropes, but there is a toilet that we can use. It's literally right next to our tents that the girls can use. Mr. Smith, is there anything else you wanted to say about accommodation?
Yeah, because we're set in the field, it's really nice to have the space around us. So that space, that hill you see, actually you can see the castle in the background, which is a view that you get if you just. It's literally a 30-second walk up the hill, and you can see it in the distance. And at night, they light it up. It all looks really cool. As Ms. Fraser said, it's a secure site. So in the evenings, when we're sort of getting ourselves ready and maybe having our own free time, that's the area sort of we'll be playing and hanging around in. Get the frisbees out.
The one thing I would say is because it's May, girls, listen. Because it's May, they've got to have a decent sleeping bag. A pillow. Does anybody remember what Adrian Hall told us about? We leave a pillow. What did he tell us?
Leave the pillow at the bottom.
Well, did he take a pillow with him on his exploration too? What did he do, Alison?
He just had a bag full of really soft things.
Yeah. So if you leave a pillow behind, guess what you're going to be sleeping on?
Stuff.
All your really soft stuff. Exactly. It's absolutely fine. But of course it's nice to have a comfy pillow from home and a really warm sleeping bag. We do have extra bits and pieces that we can help them with, but layers of clothes at night because it's May. But the accommodation, the tents do get warmed by their own little bodies. Adults are in adult tents that look exactly the same as that, and they're positioned on either side so that we can just kind of keep them secure. Our on-site facilities, do you want to have a chat? Do you want to do this?
Yeah, so on site there are quite a few members of staff. It's constantly staffed 24/7, so it's really secure. And there are lots of other activities that are going on there as well that we may have an opportunity to partake in as well. That's all on site. There is a lot of off-site stuff as well that we'll take minibuses to. On site, toilet facilities are really close and free. So in terms of the number of facilities, there are more than enough to cater for our group and extras. So we don't have any queues outside the bathrooms or anything like that really. These sinks that you see in the bottom right, there's a set right next to our campsite, which is not shared, I think, and there's another one on the other side that is shared.
Yeah, this one's actually the one near the food tent.
Okay,
but we've got another one near us,
So
and that's fresh water,
plenty of sets
brushing
up
teeth,
for water bottles and things like that.
pickle for me.
Top right picture is inside one of the tents for the breakfast and dinner area, which we'll all go in and grab our food on. There's a sort of a row of lovely, yummy food spread out, and you go through, queue up and grab your food, and then you come and sit down in this area. And this is our own area here, so we can have our sort of chats about who was the best walker of the last day, or something like that. Who's the sleepyhead?
Top banana.
Top banana, that's the one. Top banana.
Alright.
Yeah.
And as Mr. Smith said, we've got designated land and wave minibuses for us transporting ourselves around Swanage. Emily, you alright? Emily? And we use a bigger bus when we're coming back from Studland, but it's quite nice having our own land and wave people that work with us for a week, so that if things change, if we decide that we want to move things around or shift our timings a little bit, they're really amenable and adaptable. This is just an example. This is when Mr. Staines came with us. He's not coming this year. A little bit of cereal, some toast. There's always something hot for breakfast. And dinner tends to be, actually the breakfast hasn't really changed, they're always the same, but dinners tend to be really something hot, loads of salad, and fruit and some kind of dessert.
They do cater for allergies.
Yeah, any allergies, please be specific about the allergies, because the sandwich choice that they give you will be the sandwich choice that the girls have Wednesday, Thursday and Friday. The first day you can provide your own snack. We have school lunch, but a snack. So on-site facilities, as Mr. Smith has said, they've got this fantastic green space. In the evenings we tend to do some team building exercises, and there's lots of kind of wacky games. We also go off-site sometimes into the woods. There's a couple of different spaces that we use, and the girls do firebowling and archery and den making, all sorts of different things depending on the weather and the location. There's lots of free space. So when it comes to clothes, there are no fashion items. It is literally clothes that you would be getting quickly dressed in and running around in. All right, it's just and layers are probably the most important things. Just some t-shirts, because it does sometimes get hot, and then something that you can pop on over it, something light and easy. So we will be going to the beach. We haven't decided exactly, but you can see from the weather that when we walked down there, it was most inclement. It doesn't mean that we don't go on the beach. It doesn't mean that we don't get in the water. We'll still do it. We haven't decided yet exactly what activities we're going to be doing, but they provide us with wetsuits and buoyancy aids and helmets and all the bits and pieces to keep us nice and safe. And we spend a lovely morning down on their own designated part of the beach. It's also obviously dependent entirely on the tides and the weather. Yes?
I was really worried about, because when I looked out of my tent and saw that weather, I was like,
oh, we can't do it.
But then wetsuits are really warm. This is what water shoes are for, by the way, and they're very helpful. So bring water shoes. But yeah, it's actually quite toasty, and in the wetsuits, and really, really fun.
They provide us with special. They provide us with all the wetsuit gear, but you have to have shoes. You can see everybody's wearing trainers that are going to get wet. So we have 2 pairs of shoes, actually 3. One for walking around the campsite. Hang on. If you've got swim shoes, they've got to have, they're not just socks, they've got to have a sole so that you can walk, because we walk on the roads to get there. But just a pair of pump soles or a pair of trainers, as long as they're tight fitting, because one year somebody's shoes ended up on the Isle of Wight. So you've got to have shoes that you don't mind getting wet. They'll get all full of sand, and then we'll dry them out when you get back to camp. Yes, and even Miss Rosa does go swimming. Absolutely brilliant. No, I don't like wearing wetsuits. I wear my bathing costume. If I can swim in the Thames, I can swim in Studland. Okay, so after this we get changed, and we'll either stay down, depending on the weather. If the weather's great, we'll stay down and have our lunch down. If we need a bit of a shower and a warm up, we'll go back to camp. We then go back to Swanage Seafront and have a lovely poodle around. You can see the girls are doing crabbing, which is great fun, making sandcastles. We have an opportunity to go to a shop. I'll talk about that in a minute. This evening we have dinner down in Swanage. It's a long day. We have dinner down in Swanage, and we also go to the RNLI launch. But it's a really lovely opportunity for us to see the town and spend some time together. We might even do some drama in the amphitheatre. I'm not sure. We'll see how we feel. The next day, girls, you need to listen. The next day is our walk to Old Harry Rocks. It is a long way. We start at about 9 o'clock and we finish at about 4 o'clock. You have got to be walking. Every single one of you. Every single one of you. Sometimes on the weekends, sometimes with mommies and daddies, sometimes in groups. It's about 8 miles. You don't do it all in one go. We stop and we chat and we have something to eat and some water, but you've got to have proper shoes that you can wear all day and walk in. So that's why we do this in January, so that by May, you're going to be saying, Mr. Smith, Miss Fraser, I'm ready to go. I've got comfortable shoes. I know that my leggings are more comfy than walking in jeans. No, I really like to wear shorts because that's what I'm used to, as long as I've got proper socks on. All right, it's all along a towpath and a footpath. It's absolutely beautiful. Really, really beautiful. You'll need a day pack to carry your water bottle, a proper water bottle, which we'll talk to you about a little bit more. A proper water bottle that has at least a litre of water, and your snack and that Land and Wave will give us. And we go with Sam, who's our lowland leader, and he stops along the way and tells us all sorts of gruesome stories and interesting information that you will need for your Swanage project. So the distance is probably from school, across Kingston Bridge, down to Hampton Court, and back again.
What? That's not far.
8 miles. In a car. So it's not that far, then you'll be absolutely fine.
Oh, that's
After the walk, well, actually, kind of towards the end of the walk, we go to some really interesting landmarks, locations, and we have a chance. Last year was great because we had a chance to make some sandcastles. It depends. Studland at the moment is under about 4 foot of water. There's a massive storm that's come in, so this is all water at the moment. So it depends on what's happening with the storms, how much sand there is. But Studland's a great place to end, and the bus comes and fetches us there, which is fantastic. And then we're all ready for going back to camp and having a nice shower. And our last night. Talent! You're not untalented, are you? Okay, well, you don't have to have marshmallows if you don't want to. And we sit around the campfire. The next day, the only thing that I would say about this, just quickly before we finish, is girls have got to be able to pack their bags on their own. There are 48 of you, and there's a lot of other stuff that we need to sort out, like train tickets. So any bag that you bring has to be able to be transported. I've put it on the kit list. It doesn't matter if it's a tote bag or a wheelie suitcase, as long as there's plenty of space in the tents. But as long as you can transport it across a field, do not bring something that's precious, because it's going to be dragged across a field. So wheels are great, but it doesn't matter if it doesn't have wheels. And it's got to be packed by you. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Labelled, packed by you. If there's socks left in the tent, they go in a bin bag. And they stay there. Alright? So you've got to be able to, on this last day, we pack up our tents, we put everything under a cover, and Land and Wave pops it all into the coach for us to bring home. So it gives us a nice free day to go to Swanage, use the steam train, go back to Corfe Castle, which is absolutely beautiful. It's an amazing day out, not even thinking about our luggage, just with your day pack on. So you've got to be able to practice, and the next, practice a couple of weeks before, take all your stuff out, fold it all up again, put it into bags if you want to. They're really useful. Bags for socks, bags for knickers, bags for t-shirts. Absolutely brilliant. We have a great day on, and this steam train is quite a traditional little event. There is a rough guide there. We've talked about sleeping bag and pillow. Mr. Smith mentioned the trainers. We have to have shoes. You will not be allowed to come with us on that day. You will be sitting out of the water if you do not have a spare pair of shoes. Something for around the campsite. Mr. Smith, what did you have? Did you have?
Yeah, flip-flops.
Crocs or flip-flops,
Flip-flops
yeah.
are fine. I mean, if the weather's poor, it's nice to have just a pair of easy-on trainers. But
Yeah.
flip-flops are
Crocs are
fine.
fine. Just to leave outside your tent,
Crocs,
you
yeah.
just pop something on if you're going to the loo or you're going to go brush your teeth. You just leave them outside your tent. It's easy to pop on. There's a lot of grass around, so it does get a bit. It's nice to have some shoes on to wear. 2 towels, really important. I've put this in recently. The microfiber towels are brilliant because they're lightweight. If you're bringing a huge big bath sheet, it will be wet and it will be gross and it'll be stinky. There is a washing line, but microfiber towels are brilliant. You just dust them out, they'll dry really, really quickly, and if they're all full of sand and muck and sandwiches, it's easy to keep them clean. Waterproof jacket is an absolute essential. A small rucksack that's big enough for you to put your water bottle in and your lunch, and obviously swimwear for underneath your wetsuits. And pocket money, I think I said about £15, £10.
10. I think
Something
we
like
said.
that, £10. It's quite a phenomenal shop that we go to. There's a list that maybe not looks like this, and it'll be sent out to parents. And the best thing to do is to have a copy of that in your bag so that you know how many items you've got. All right. We're nearly finished. I want to make sure you've got a break. Absolutely no electrical equipment at all. If you want to bring a camera, it cannot be something that's going to be connecting to the outside world. No phones. Don't need any music. Trust me, you don't need it. You can bring books. Absolutely no iPads, no
AirTags.
no AirTags, because we're in a field. And that was the Land and Wave portal.
Which I'll be sending the link through with the letter probably after,
Yeah.
it'll be after half term.
There's a question in there about swimming. There's a question there about swimming, and also obviously the food. Can you just be really specific with us, because they cater for every need, but if we don't know about it, we don't want anybody feeling uncomfortable because they're
they're generally
allergic
quite
to peppers
good.
or whatever it
To
is.
the children, ask them what they want, and they're very good.
Yeah, they will come and things like milk, lactose, they're reasonably good at providing, but anything that they can't provide, you know, we can pretty much sort ourselves. And yes, if you want to. As long as it fits in your bag, I don't mind if you bring a snuffly thing. Just one last thing. I know that some of the school trips, the teachers do a blog. It is physically impossible for us to do it while we're in a field. We'll put a group of photographs together that the girls will be using for their Swanage project, and after the trip we'll put that onto Shavy so everybody can have a look. But it is physically impossible for us to be connected to the internet and doing a blog. We don't even use our iPads because it's impossible to carry them around with all the other bits. When we go out during the day, we have to divvy up all the medication that we're taking with us. Girls, you need to listen. So it doesn't happen in Year 5. You can talk to them after the event and hear all the marvellous, amazing, incredible things that happened. But it is one of those things we just cannot do on our Year 5 trip. I know that it happens on some of the other trips. It doesn't happen while we're in a field with these things.
Where did you get that picture of that bear? Because that's my bear. Why is that bear at my home?
Parents, are there any questions?
Why do you...
Marvellous job done.